let's talk about the son, JFK Jr., because you and I live this, right? Like anybody who's 50 remembers everything about him, basically, because, he was born just a few years before we were. And he was the god. He was like the biggest catch in America. I remember once he failed the bar exam 3 times in New York State. And I went to Albany Law, which is in New York State. And he only passed the bar exam. Maybe he failed it 2 times and he passed it on the 3rd time. He only passed it because he came to Albany Law School one summer to study for the New York State bar exam. And every woman there was like, I'm going to land him. It was hilarious. The number of women who were like, he's coming here. Well, Carolyn Bessette is the one who, quote, landed him. And while we all know now that they died in this terrible, tragic, awful plane crash with him as the pilot, along with her sister, what I didn't know was that he had a lifetime of reckless decision-making, irresponsible risk-taking, and this was just the latest example in what did kind of look like a death wish quest for him.
You're so right. This is exactly the case, and this goes perfectly to what you just said. Don't believe the images that you're seeing of these ultra wealthy, ultra famous, ultra celebrated and envied people. It's never like that behind closed doors. And Carolyn Bessette, if this book does anything, will be the last woman who marries into that so-called dynasty with the idea that she has landed a prize. Back then, JFK Jr. was in a class of his own. There was no movie star, no rock star, no politician, no true royal who could compete with JFK Jr. The looks, the legacy, the regard, the pedestal this culture put him on. So Carolyn lands him thinking she's won a prize. And I promise anyone who reads this book will come away going, Carolyn very quickly realized that she landed a booby prize, perhaps the booby prize of all. This was a guy who had never been told no, who had never really struggled, bar exam or what. Like he was sort of given a lot of leeway and special treatment in order to finally pass that thing. He had a lifetime, not just of really exhibiting a death wish with extremely risky behavior, but he had a penchant, almost like a kink, for bringing the women in his life along and risking their lives as well. So there's this story in the book, his first serious girlfriend in their late teens, early 20s, Christina Hogg, and she has written about this. He takes her out kayaking on the open water, the ocean. He knows nothing about it. She's got her leg in a cast. They almost get killed multiple times. She begs him at one point, let's just wait for help. Let's just wait for help. And he says, no, we're going back out. They barely escape with their lives after nearly drowning, I'm going to say 4 or 5 times. When they get back, she says to him, we could have died out there. And he says to her, yeah, but what a way to go. So now let's flash forward to this flight. And we're about to, in America, undergo the 25th anniversary of this thing, where we're all going to be told, oh, JFK Jr., what a shame. What did we lose? We lost a future president. We should be so relieved that this guy would never see the inside of the Oval Office. He gets up in that plane, a plane that was way too powerful for the likes of him, a beginning pilot, not instrument rated, didn't know how to fly this thing at night. Multiple other pilots on the tarmac that night told him not to go up. They weren't, and they had way more experience. He breaks every single rule of aviation. Now, a little just backstory. Everything in this guy's life is falling apart. He's not talking to his sister. They're fighting over Jackie's estate. His marriage is falling apart. He has moved out. His magazine is about to fold. His publisher has sent him a letter in which they memorialize his stewardship as, quote, lazy and stupid. He has zero internal fortitude to deal with any of these failings. He's about to be humiliated. JFK Jr. on a massive scale. So what does he do? He gets in that plane with his wife and his sister, doesn't file a flight plan, doesn't check the weather report. You will see that reported in other biographies. It is a lie. In the NTSB official report of that crash, he didn't do any of that stuff. He gets up there. He cuts off communication with ground control, and he also disables his automatic pilot. 5 minutes in, what happens? He's on a direct collision course with an American Airlines plane full of 283 passengers. The pilots of the American Airlines flight are frantically trying to radio this clueless pilot. They can't get a hold of him because he turned everything off. They call ground control. It's like, yeah, we can't reach him either. They have to divert so this guy doesn't slam into them and kill hundreds of people before he spirals into the ocean. Those bodies were not left intact. Hitting the ocean the way he did, that's like hitting concrete. But we never hear any of this stuff. We just hear, oh my God, what a tragedy. The Kennedy curse strikes again.
No, it wasn't a curse. It was his own incessant need to live a life of risk, and not just risk his own, but risk the life of his wife, the life of his sister-in-law. And one of the most stunning moments for me when I was reading it, Maureen, was you quote Carolyn's mother at their rehearsal dinner. She knew this was not going to end well. And she openly said, I'm not sure she should be marrying you. She said it publicly. I'm not sure about this marriage. She understood, obviously from her daughter, that the image we'd been getting fed did not match up with the reality.
No, and you just put that wedding photo up, which is the photo that went around the world, right? The Prince of Camelot anoints his princess. And her mother, imagine how bad it had to be behind the scenes. Imagine how many times, and it's in the book, she had tried to tell Carolyn, get rid of this guy, cut him loose. He's a loser. He's not good for you. This won't end well. She has to say it at the reception. That's a real act of desperation to try at that last moment to throw a grenade into this and make it stop.
And she couldn't.
And she couldn't.
And three years into the marriage, her daughter would die as a result of JFK Jr.'s risky behaviors, which were a pattern. They were not a one-off. It was not a curse, and it was not bad luck. It was a terrible, terrible decision that he made that night, and it was part of a pattern of them. Do you ever think, how can I work this hard and still be in debt? The piles of overdue bills, the threatening phone calls, the never having money to do anything, it just won't stop. If you are trapped in debt, Done with Debt can be a way out. They have developed aggressive new strategies to end your debt permanently and completely. Done with Debt stands between you and harassing bill collectors. They tirelessly negotiate with your creditors to lower or even forgive what you owe, and they do it all without bankruptcy or new loans. One client said, "One phone call saved us a fortune. I wish we did this long ago." Done with Debt has unique strategies to get you out of debt faster and put more money in your pocket every month. But you need to hurry because some debt solutions are time sensitive and you don't want to miss out. Visit donewithdebt.com, talk with one of their debt relief strategists for free. You have nothing to lose except your debt. Go to donewithdebt.com. That's donewithdebt.com. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.